Hey, do you hate gingers? So does Hollywood. Guess what the topic of today's podcast is? Why does Hollywood hate gingers? They seem to be systematically removing any redheaded person from any kind of media in the nerd culture. And we're here to talk about it. I'm joined as always by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader's here. What's up, dude?
I'm very upset about this.
You love redheads.
I married one.
You did.
I have spawn that are redheads. So yeah.
Okay.
This is very close to my heart.
All right.
For sure.
Cool. Jude.
Hi.
Do you love redheads?
Well, okay. So this was my idea, and I didn't think anyone would pick it. So I'm a little nervous to talk about this today.
You didn't think we would?
I didn't. I was like, I'm going to put this in as an option. Ha, ha, ha. It's my little joke. No one's going to pick it. And then like yesterday, you guys were like, yeah, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And I was like, oh, shit.
We should point out that we actually did a Twitter poll where we put up a couple of topics for today's episode. And overwhelmingly, this one won out. So good going, Jude.
Well, thank you for being on my side, Americans, or
Not.
wherever you're from.
Kadish is also here, the mastermind behind the show. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, so we're breaking with our format a little bit in today's episode. We kind of want to do something a little bit more topical and a little bit more less structured. So it's going to be an interesting way of going about this. But this has been kind of like a noticeable trend in Hollywood where basically every time they want to inject diversity into a TV show or a movie, they look at the source material. They're like, is there a redhead in here?
Yeah.
And then they take that redhead and they swap them out for a person of color. And that's it. And it's been happening so consistently that it's become a joke, actually.
Yeah. Because I don't pay super close attention to like CW shows or other things like that. So I didn't really notice the trend until recently. I saw a bunch of people talking about it. I was like, oh, they're probably overblowing the whole situation.
No, they're really not.
And then
It's wild.
When we started prepping for this podcast, I was like going through the list of things that like Kadish was like, hey, research this topic and here's a couple of videos. And then literally somebody just commented in our Discord chat, this is a picture of all the people that have been replaced as redheads. Redheads.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Listen,
so it's
man.
no longer a fluke. This is literally a systematic change to characters from comic books and pop culture to modern TV shows and movies. And I'm like, that is...
Yeah, it's just the formula that Hollywood is adhering to right now. Like they look at a cast and they take out the redhead. And this is not us saying like we hate people of color.
Not at
it's
all.
just us noticing like it's always the redhead that gets replaced.
Yeah.
For me personally, I've always had an affinity to redheads, and I absolutely blame my exposure to pop culture when I was young to that.
Like Red Sonja.
Well, Red Sonja was, but I actually blame it more on Mary Jane Watson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. I was a huge Spider-Man guy. Every dude wants to marry Mary Jane. You know, she's got red hair. She's beautiful. She's cool. She's sassy. She likes her man. You know, and Mary Jane just kind of like was.
Even
like,
then in
okay,
Spider-Man,
cool.
they killed off the blonde to bring in the redhead.
Yeah. You know, so you bring it back to a little more modern era. When they put Zendaya and named her MJ.
Yeah, it's not even Mary Jane.
In Spider-Man, but there's never been a Mary Jane Watson in these Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
You think so?
It's not because she's his love interest.
Yeah, but
Peter
she's not...
Parker's love interest is Mary Jane Watson, not Zendaya with MJ
As her initials.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, they try to skirt these little things.
That's what I was gonna say. They
and
skirted that issue because she's not Mary Jane. She's
but that's who she is.
But she's MJ.
She is MJ.
Yeah,
and because that's what they called her in the comics.
Yeah, I think
MJ.
her name is Mary Jane, but she has a different last name.
It's like, you know, replacing Billy Olsen in the Supergirl show with some black guy.
Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
Well, he's like,
you know, it's like, I don't know how deep in the weeds we want to get, but it just really feels like they're taking one minority group. And let me tell you something. Redheads are a legit persecuted minority group, and it's been that way over history.
Yeah.
They're demonized. People used to call them demons.
I mean, to this day,
you know,
if you were to say the things about any other person of color or minority or anything that people routinely joke about redheads, that would be really fucking offensive. Like if I were to be like,
Gingers don't have souls.
Like insert name, doesn't have souls.
Yeah.
That would be really offensive.
It's like-
but it's just a joke when you say it about a
And
redhead.
my wife she laughs, but I know she gets pissed off at me, a little bit annoyed because I'll be out in public and we'll just be at the grocery store or something, right? And there'll be some goofy ginger box person bagging groceries. Hold on a second. I'm going to go, I'll look at her, I'll look at him, and I'll go, you're speaking to him telepathically right now. That's part of your
How
tribe
dare you
over
for
there.
laughing?
I know, right? And she's like, and she's like, but yeah, it's just like kind of funny
So,
because it's just
Zendaya's character's name in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies is Michelle Jones.
don't care.
It's not Mary Jane.
Do not care.
I'm just saying that's no. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm like the studio at this point in time is like self-aware enough that they're like, well, she's not really Mary Jane. We got to change her name.
How do you have a Spider-Man movie without Mary Jane?
Just put MJ and
Just call her
hope
MJ.
that the nerds
Wink,
don't
wink.
notice.
It's like,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
F off.
I don't see. Here's the thing. I think what's happening. I don't think it's some nefarious like we hate gingers thing going. I think it's a
I kind of think
it's a convenience thing.
it's a weird thing how they're the ones that seem to be routinely
Because
being
it's-
replaced
because it's
by
convenient.
other people of another ethnic group.
Yeah, because
Get rid of the
Like-
gingers. Let's put the other whatever. in
Like,
I think it's
I
just
feel
a
like-
formula.
well, yeah. What I'm trying to get to, and this might be wrong, so please don't come at me in the comments. Not that I give a shit.
Oh, we're
but,
gonna
like,
get people coming.
Oh,
for
I'm
us.
sure, but I'm just like I think, and it might not be like this, like oh we hate gingers, we're gonna get them out of the movies and TV shows. I think it's like, okay, we need to insert X amount of ethnicity into the show. Who can we replace? Who's gonna get the least amount of backlash
Yeah.
if we replace?
Well, get rid.
And it's-
Nobody likes those
It's
gingers.
gonna be the side characters because whether you like it or not, the gingers in most, I'm not gonna say all, but most of these examples that I have of people that were replaced are side characters. They're not main characters; they're side characters. So they're like, well, who can we replace with an ethnicity? I can't say that word. Ethnicity that's not going to get as much heat as if we replace somebody that's a main character.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're all gingers.
Well, I mean, even it's this.
Can we say ginger? Are we allowed to
Yeah,
say
you
that?
can say ginger.
Is
I'll
ginger
allow it.
racist?
It's
I don't know.
It's
Is it an
Or
ethnic
not.
slur?
It's a
don't know.
flavor.
I have-
right?
I
Is
have-
ginger a flavor or a spice or something? What
It's
is
a,
it?
it's a
It's
root.
spice.
Spice.
It's a root.
But I mean, kind of the reason I think we're
Cleanses
talking
the
about
palate.
this is because it's really at the forefront of weird nerd.
It just
pop
happens
culture
so often.
Because listen, right now as we speak, Little Mermaid's coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
They replaced Ariel. They turned her into
Hale Bailey?
Haley Berry.
listen,
Bailey.
and
Bailey.
the actress that's playing Ariel. She's beautiful. She's got a beautiful voice. She's a beautiful girl.
Oh,
And
is that
I-
her voice?
Yeah, I believe she is a singer, but she's not Ariel. She's not she's not this
Yeah.
character.
Halle,
You know,
Halle Bailey.
And they made her hair blonde.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I think
it's
she's kind of a strawberry blonde.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but-
they have a hint of red. I watched the latest trailer. It's definitely they did a little bit to make her a
yeah.
redhead.
And the other one that's like really out there right now is this new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show coming
April
out.
O'Neil.
April,
April.
right?
They turned
She's not
into-
redhead at all.
They took her and they turned her into basically a 12-year-old Whoopi Goldberg,
yeah.
and it's dog shit. It's bullshit,
Yeah.
and it's just.
So I guess my question, I don't really have a dog in this fight. I mean, I have like a stray red beard hair once in a while. So I'm
He's
just
like, I don't have a wife at home
I'm like,
that is
she's-
redheaded.
Yeah, she's not a redheaded. I don't have a redheaded wife, and I see this, and I completely get it. People are like, "Hey, why do you keep replacing this?" To me, I'm just like, it's convenience. I think they want to put a person of color in the show.
I think that you're missing the elephant in the room with your analysis,
what is
which
the-
is that there is no whiter person than a ginger.
This is true.
that's fair.
It's
You know,
like they're literally taking the whitest character
Right.
that they can and replacing them with a person of
yeah,
color.
the fairest skinned person.
Your normal redhead person is very pale.
Yeah.
They have a lot of freckles and that red
It's
hair.
also the least ideal
Right.
as far as like the aesthetic of a white person.
I completely disagree.
Oh, I do too.
I
I
do
think
too.
a
I do
frickin-
too. But for decades, the
Yeah.
ideal white person was blonde hair, blue eyed.
Yeah,
And
well,
and you also have to factor in the Irish prejudice
Yep.
in this as well, where basically everyone hates the Irish.
Do you guys? I learned something. I don't know when it was recently that the quintessential clown that everybody grew up like the pale face with the red nose and the red buffy hair that was a slur for Irish people.
Really?
And that's where it came from. So like the emoji that everybody uses on like Apple or whatever emojis out there for like phones and stuff, the pale face with the red nose indicates a redheaded person that drinks too much, because the red nose is like an indication of being drunk. It's a slur on Irish people. Is the quintessential clown. I did not know that.
So you're saying that if I want to call you a clown, I could just send you like an emoji of a leprechaun?
But you're also saying that Ronald McDonald hates the Irish.
It might be. Yeah. I learned that. I watched like a
is.
YouTube video or something like on the history of where clowns came
Interesting.
from. And they're like, the original clown back in the 1700s or 1800s or whatever, was a rip on Irish people.
Huh, I never heard that before. That's
Yeah,
really interesting.
I was like, that's freaking. Fact check me if you want in the comments, but I think that's what it came from, and that's according to the video that I watched. And I was like, that's wild, because we still use it, and it's still technically a slur.
It's just all I know about this whole thing, right? And it is very obvious that I do feel like there's a concerted effort to just erase the redheaded people out of pop culture, because it's very apparent. It's wild to me when you really dig into it and you start looking at all these characters that have been replaced by other people of color.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to say it.
Because
they're not being replaced by a blonde-haired, blue-eyed chick or a brunette.
Well, sometimes
they're being replaced by black people.
Like originally in that Michael Bay Turtles movie, he replaced April O'Neil with Megan Fox. It was just a brunette white chick.
Yeah.
And nobody said shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I'm sure somebody said something, but for
probably
the
somebody
vast majority of people were like, whatever.
But when you look at the overall picture, it's a really crazy
So like,
trend.
why do you think people don't say as much when it's just like, oh, we turned to brunette?
I think we are saying it, but every time people say something about it, we get shut down by that vocal, minuscule amount of people on social media that just calls us all racist and phobes, and we're just pointing out the obvious.
So
Also,
like,
I think there's a lot of, like, if you replace a cartoon redhead character with like the literal hottest person ever who just happens to not be a redhead, people are like, well, I'll allow it.
that's like
If Roger Rabbit came out with a sequel and they replaced
Exactly. She has to at least have a redhead wig.
What's her name?
Jessica Rabbit.
If they replaced Jessica Rabbit with Whoopi fucking Goldberg, people would lose their fucking minds.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's nonsense.
She better
It's
have red
just-
Mm.
dreads.
But what about? Do you think that applies to every? Because we've recently seen Aquaman replaced with Jason Momoa, and everybody was like, "Yeah, that's a better option." So like where's the line? Like, does it go like you can recast anybody as anybody?
I think
like because
we're talking about a trend.
Yes,
You
but
can take certain single examples of people being like Commissioner Gordon
right,
in Batman.
yeah,
Doesn't bother me at all.
because he's a freaking dope actor.
That he's been played by 6 different people.
He was also
of all
not a
races,
redhead.
creeds, and colors.
He wasn't a redhead in Zack Snyder's universe
No.
either. He was played by J.K. Simmons.
But what I'm just saying that
Yeah.
you can recast and replace people. What we're talking about here is the trend.
Yeah.
Okay, so and it's wild. I mean, can you go to Scooby Doo and replace Daphne with?
I think they tried, didn't they try?
With a.
Well, they made her Asian in the Velma show.
I was gonna say,
Oh yeah,
in the most recent,
I forgot about that. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
did.
That show is such a weird.
Oh, everybody
It's-
pans that
fuck
show.
that show. It's such a piece of shit. It's like the most hated thing on TV right now.
You know what I want to talk
it's
about
awful.
is someone who loves his redheads and never allows them to be taken out. Stephen King.
Really?
Yeah, I
Can
think
you
there's a
explain that?
redhead in almost every story that he writes. Like,
And he's like diehard, like that has to be a redhead in this movie.
there's like a subreddit that I think it's called like Redheads in Maine or something like that, where all of his stories start off in Maine, and there's at least one redheaded character, and I think almost everything I've read by him.
Well, what's interesting is that in the Shawshank Redemption short story,
Oh yeah,
so like the character of Red is an Irish guy who has red hair.
Played by Morgan
and
Freeman.
in the movie, they race swapped him with Morgan Freeman.
Whoa.
Kept the name Red, and even kept the fact that he was Irish, because he has that line in there where he's like, "Must be because I'm Irish."
Black Irish.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because like to get to Vader's point, it's like, do you really care that if they replace someone with Morgan fucking Freeman?
No.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like Morgan Freeman is just like one of the greatest actors ever. like I'd say like, you know, like if they cast him as Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, I would have had no problem with it, you know.
That's the weird thing that I always, not that I struggle with it, but I always think about. I'm like, okay, well, there's often times where they recast people, and I'm like, yeah, but that was a dope choice. Like, I'm like, whatever, go for it. Yeah, let's see what they can do.
There are times like when Heath Ledger got cast as the Joker, and everyone's like, this is a terrible idea. Like, he's going to be terrible. And then you see him on screen, and you're like, that's the Joker.
Or even Daniel Craig. Everybody's like, oh, we can't have a blonde Bond. I'm like, that motherfucker was dope.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that Daniel Craig's not at least a good Bond. Like, you might not like
he's
all
no
of his
Timothy
movies.
Dalton.
Okay, if you say he's no Sean Connery, then I'll be like, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, I get it. But
it seems like it's a really prevalent thing in comic book movies, especially in comic book shows.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at a Bounding into Comics article right here, right now, and you can just go down this list. It's like Cyclone, Mary Jane Watson, Hot Girl, Iris West,
Starfire.
The one that stood out to me, because I didn't know that he was originally supposed to be a redhead, was Heimdall from the Marvel movies, which is played by Idris Elba. And I'm like, yeah, but it's freaking Idris Elba. Like that guy's freaking dope. Like, yeah, I'll watch him in a movie. Yeah, Heimdall.
Yeah.
He was originally a redhead. And I had no idea. I was just beyond.
Well,
it was
you
because
know,
they're talking about comics that came out in like the freaking 60s, right? So there's also like during that time when these comics were being made, that was like the civil rights era. There's a whole bunch of strife and like backlash that you had to deal with during that time period. So they were like, well, just they might not have even considered putting anybody in there that wouldn't fit the demographic of the time. And I'm like, is there a correction that needs to be made in modern era stuff?
Well, considering that Thor is based on Vikings and the Nordic people, how many black people were Nordic?
a lot of black people in Norway.
Hold on, because didn't the more modern Viking TV show on, I can't remember if it was Netflix or not, but they had
History Channel,
and it was absolutely a virtue signal.
That wasn't based on any kind of fact at all. I'm gonna look it up right now, but keep talking. I gotta check this out because they had one of like the queen of one of the Viking villages or whatever was a black lady.
That was in the new.
And I'm like, I don't.
And that character historically was actually a white man.
Yeah.
It was. So is that confirmed? You, okay.
Two birds.
No. As soon as Vikings left the History Channel to be made on like Netflix or whatever,
It got less historically accurate.
Yeah, it got way less historically accurate. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what was one of my questions. Was I'm like, because there are times, and I watched a show that took place in like England in the 1700s or something like that, and they had a character there, and I was like, he was like a leader among the hierarchy of the British realm or whatever, and he was a black guy, and I'm like, I don't know, is that accurate or not? And I went back and I looked, and sure enough, there was a factual character in this time period that was like, yeah, he came from this place, and he worked his way up the ranks, and he was well respected. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's based on fact. Great, cool, whatever. But then there's times like that you just mentioned with the Viking show, and they're like, no, that's total horseshit. It's like, so I can never tell. You never know like what's going to happen. You have to look at it and say, is this real or is this just like a quota thing?
I mean, why don't we tackle the big one that's coming out, which is like the recasting of Ariel and the Little Mermaid live action thing.
People have been all over this, and I feel like I'm leery to talk about it because I feel like everyone who talks about it automatically is like stamped with the you're racist stamp. But I think it's an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah, we're talking about the trend, and in the source material for Little Mermaid, like I believe it is a Nordic fairy tale or something like that, and the character was always like redheaded. And so in the translation to the animated version that Disney originally made, they were very faithful to the source material with like, you know, the red hair and stuff like that. And when this came out, so like Disney had been doing like a number of live action remakes, you know, Beauty and the Beast and stuff like that.
They're all terrible.
And you know, like it's kind of started with Beauty and the Beast where they're like, this character is gay now, even though they make no reference to it in the actual movie.
Oh, who's gay?
It was Josh Gad's character. He was the bad guy's sidekick.
Okay.
That guy. But
I'm sorry, you all know I don't watch Disney movies.
Yeah, but with
you're not missing
with the Little Mermaid, like it's such a drastic change. It's like you couldn't even put a red wig on her. I mean, Doja Cat looks really good in a red wig. You know, like there are a lot of like people of color that can pull off the red hair like really well. But they chose to give her blonde braids in the movie. You know, like it's a very odd choice.
It's because Disney makes these movies for nothing other than virtue's sake.
Well,
that's
made,
all they do.
They've made no secret.
They've come out. The lady, I think the lady that came out in their
She'll put some kind of messaging in any movie she can. Basically,
it was in their
she was a producer
investors call or something like that. It's like any place I can insert this shit.
Yeah,
into the new stuff that we make. I'm going to put it in, and they're making this new stuff simply to erase their past. It's nonsense. It's just it's like this new Peter Pan movie. It's
the Lost Boys are now girls.
Yeah, they got girls in the Lost Boys. Tink's a black chick.
Come on, man.
It's just Peter Pan's a weird little Indian boy, little feminine Indian boy. It's like get the fuck out of here with this stuff. Nobody, and you would think that these movies, they don't make money. How can they make money? People don't go see these things. So why do they just keep on doubling down?
I disagree.
Double down.
People take their kids to go see these movies.
I don't.
Well,
I don't know many people who do.
I don't know. My kids aren't into Disney. They're all boys. They want to see dinosaurs and stuff like that.
So the question becomes is like, does it significantly affect the story that Ariel's not a redhead anymore for like the live action thing?
No, I mean, so the original story I believe was a French fairy tale. Fact check me on that. I'm trying to look it up right now, but I can't do it while we're talking because my brain doesn't work like that. But I believe it was like some kind of a French or Eastern European fairy tale, and then now the new live action one is based in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. So it's like that's kind of their excuse. Like, well, it's based in the Caribbean, so she's going to be of darker color. I'm like, okay, she's a mermaid. A mermaid doesn't fucking exist.
They're just making excuses.
A mermaid doesn't exist anyway, so who really cares?
You don't know that.
Yeah.
Mermaids were freaking. What are those?
These are make-believe characters, and we can do whatever we want.
Basically, and to a point, you can say that.
You can say that, but at the same time, it's like you're just remaking this classic movie that hundreds of millions of people love, and it's just nonsense.
It's just a reimagining.
The people in the chat are saying it was a Danish.
Danish. Thank you very much, guys.
Some European country.
I cannot multitask. No, you're absolutely right.
So another one that we need to touch on, and a lot of people might not care about this, but I'm a big Teen Titans fan.
Oh.
And when the Titans TV show came out, I was very excited to get to see Starfire because Starfire was, like she's like one of the hottest like comic book characters. And when they revealed that like they basically, swapped out Starfire for like
looks terrible.
Yeah. Like her hair just was not Starfire's hair because like that's one of the most iconic things about the character. And there was a lot of backlash on that one, and everyone's just like, "Oh, stop being a racist."
Yep.
If you don't like that character, you're a racist now.
Starfire is an alien, correct?
Yes.
She has orange skin.
Orange skin.
Why don't they just put somebody with orange paint skin on her, like freaking Star Trek did with the Orion girls?
Just cast Trump as Starfire.
Give him a red wig.
Yeah. I'm the best alien.
That's fine.
I'll burn all of you.
It's great. No,
I've been aliening forever.
That's the whole thing that they do. You look at this character in the comic books, and she's clearly based. She's clearly based on a certain body type, okay, certain whatever. What she's not based on is a thick black chick, for lack of a better term. Of you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just not sure if I'm on board yet.
Well, you don't have to be on board because I'm clearly a racist with the way I think about these things.
No, I'm just like she's an alien. If you were making an adaptation
like
of a comic book based on an alien, you would want the alien to look like she does in the comics.
If you're making John Carter a Mars movie, are you going to make Deja Thoris a thick black lady or a hot, voluptuous white chick?
I don't know. You tell me. Who is that? What's her name again?
Deja Thoris, I believe, is how you pronounce it. But it's just there's just weird decisions with these swaps. It's just it's very strange. It's like the Batgirl thing that they just came out with.
That was pretty rough.
Barbara Gordon.
Barbara Gordon's not black.
Yeah.
Well,
she's not.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, but Commissioner Gordon's now he's played by that awesome actor from the new Batman movie with Matt Reeves.
But we're racist though. That's the only thing that we can say is that anytime you if you have an opinion that doesn't go along with the studio's narrative, they just slap you with the race card, and that's it.
And that's where I don't want this conversation to go.
Right.
I don't want it to be like, oh, how dare they? I just wanted to have a conversation about like, isn't it like let's talk about the fact that it's always this character that gets swapped out. And I just thought that was an interesting conversation.
It's impossible to talk about without not sounding like
but also
a fucking Klan member. And it sucks. It really sucks.
But also, I feel like this is a part of history that, like, we are in a time where we are routinely cherry picking what is offensive and just kind of taking it out of history so that we're not offending the future.
Yeah, I feel like
I think that we're doing that same with our media, where we're just like changing things so that in the future. Like children of color can have someone that they look up to. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I just think that if you pretend like it's not happening, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. I do want to point out that a big issue that with the criticism of this type of thing is the fact that you have a fan base that wants to see a live action adaptation of the source material that they love, whether it be comic books or fairy tales or a cartoon or like whatever. When someone says we're making a live action version of this property, the fans of that property want to see a faithful adaptation, at least at first. And
it's
then,
what's expected.
Yeah, and then like after maybe like a couple years of that, then they can start switching things up and fans would be more accepting. But when they are being like, hey, we're changing everything radically, like with the Mayfair witches and stuff like that.
Oh, don't get me started.
Well, listen, if they changed fucking Black Panther and had fucking Owen Wilson play the character, people would lose their fucking mind.
it would be ridiculous.
It would be ridiculous.
It's
That made me laugh
quintessential.
so hard just
Okay.
picturing it.
Okay, so that's
It's the same thing.
But wait, hold on.
Panther.
Hold on.
Wow.
Wow.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, but hold on
All
a
right,
second.
all right.
Because
Yeah, okay.
his ethnicity is directly related to his character's story.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you're following your logic, if the ethnicity, I can't say that for
But they don't have
doesn't-
any reason for any of these swaps other than to virtue signal.
But if it doesn't have anything to do with their core character, then by that rationale, it doesn't matter, right? Is that what you're saying? By the way, this chick that you said from John Carpenter from Mars, Daja Thoris, holy shit, dude! Oh my god!
Replace her with fucking Whoopi Goldberg and see what happens.
Well, I mean, you could get a hot smoking.
I mean, have you never seen John Carpenter of Mars?
I watched the live action one once, and I was like, I'm good.
Those are the comic books I grew up on, sir.
God damn, she's hot.
Yeah, you wonder why.
Look at the freaking picture. Look at that photo.
So,
oh my god!
Another example of this that I thought was interesting was the modern day remake of Annie, Little Orphan Annie.
That's right.
Yeah, so Little Orphan Annie, starring Jamie Foxx. Basically, there's this iconic Orphan Annie, redhead, right?
Yeah.
And now she's a little black girl.
Well, I think they did like an all black cast for that, right?
Really?
I think so, didn't they?
I didn't watch it.
I have no idea.
I don't watch any movies.
It's like The Wiz. Get on down
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have an issue with that, but it is what it is.
So in the movie, I know that Jamie Foxx plays Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah.
And there's a different actress for Annie, but I don't think that they swapped out any of the other characters.
I can't wait to see the new version of Roots starring all the white people.
Okay.
It's a terrible example.
Much. Too
It's a
far.
terrible example.
Too far.
You know the example of Ginger swapping that really got on my nerves was in The Witcher with
I was
Triss
just
Marigold.
gonna say you were so upset when Triss wasn't a redhead the first season.
Yeah,
and then the second season they kind of made her.
They
a redhead.
dyed her hair red in
Yeah.
the second season.
Yeah, which is what they should have done in the first season.
Does that make it okay then? If they just dye her hair red?
It doesn't. But like basically when they were adapting The Witcher, which is based in like Norwegian like folklore, right?
Yeah.
They made it so much more inclusive. Like they race swapped a bunch of characters. But Triss, for anyone who's played the video games, like she is a major character, right? She's like one of Geralt's lovers. She's part of that love triangle. She's hot as hell. And so like, when they came out with the casting decision for the character, everyone was pissed off. Everyone. And it was because like she's just not representative of the character that we all wanted to see on screen. And the fact that they like actually tried to give her red hair in the second season just goes to show that like they knew what they were doing, and they're trying to pander to the audience because they got really ravaged on season 1.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. It's just I'm without getting too much more into the weeds here, it's a real simple thing for me. Stay true to these characters' roots, and if Hollywood wants more representation in television and movies, then make new television movies and shows with new and original characters that are the way you want them. Don't change shit just because you think they need to be changed.
Well, I agree with you.
I think it's insulting not only to the people who created these things and the characters. I think it's insulting to the people that they're turning them into, because it just says that they can't think of anything new or fresh.
Yeah, well, that's the underlying issue.
Yeah,
is they don't want to come up with something new because it's a higher risk. Because if it's not a name brand, or if it's not a known IP, then it's a higher risk for them to create something. Using a familiar IP.
There's a rumor out there that James Gunn is going to be making the new Superman black. That Elseworld story of the black Superman on Earth 1912 or whatever. Who fucking cares? But it's not Clark Kent.
But it's not Clark Kent. That character's literal name is something different, right?
Right.
He's a different name.
Completely different character.
Yeah.
We just got a really good comment in our live chat right now. From Really Old Movies. Ripa says it best by calling the race swapping sloppy seconds. Rather than making new stories or adapting books that never have been in casting black people or other ethnicities, they change legacy characters and demand us to respect it or else be deemed racist.
Yeah. That's 100% right.
And that's the same thing with just it's like what I was saying earlier. Like, it's a formula. You look at a cast and you take out the redheaded character. And this is not us saying like, oh, we take issue with like anyone else being in a movie. It's just a noticeable thing that Hollywood is doing by taking out the redhead and inserting a person of color.
Like a really good example of that, we were talking about Superman a little while ago. The TV show Supergirl cast Jimmy Olsen as like a big muscular black guy.
Ridiculous.
And I was, when I was watching that, I was like, why is he Jimmy Olsen? Like, couldn't they have just made an original character who was like this guy?
Like, stop being lazy and stop being sloppy and just write new interesting stuff and stop telling people that they're racist because they're like, oh, whoa, that's a story I've been reading for decades and it doesn't look like it was described to me in the story. And this is the person that I've been envisioning. And I was so excited to see them on a screen and now it doesn't look like that. And now I'm a bad guy for expecting it to be what was told to me it would be.
It was like Interview with a Vampire when they put Worm Tongue or whatever.
Worm Tongue.
Grey Worm.
Grey Worm in his Lestat.
Yeah.
Didn't work. Totally took me out of it. I watched the first
episode. It was actually Louis.
It was Louis,
Louis, yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, it literally describes him down to his complexion and his hair length in the book. And they just completely said, fuck it, we want this guy.
And he was a plantation slave owner in the book.
They completely changed the character. And I'm like, okay.
So it's not the same character anymore.
Sorry, this is not Interview with the Vampire
At least
anymore.
in the show, they actually bothered to explain that it was like an unreliable narrator thing.
But here's the thing. They changed it from the book. I'm not interested. From the get-go.
You should watch Mayfair.
So fuck it. I guess I'm just going to not watch your silly show that you changed for reasons. I'm done. I'm out. I'm not interested. I'm never going to watch that show. It's because of this kind of shit.
Yeah.
So whatever.
I'm trying to think. Because I don't read the same types of books that you guys do. The only thing I can think of is Michael Crichton's The Lost World has a young black kid and a young white girl that go on the adventure to the island. And in the movie, they merged the two and they created a young black girl.
Is that Jeff Goldblum's?
Goldblum's daughter.
Okay.
And I was like, I noticed immediately they just took the two characters and they just smushed them together and made one character, which narratively and for the movie, sure, fine. It makes it a little bit easier.
But there's a big difference between taking like a minor character who was basically based off the movie when he was writing it and comparing it to someone like Ariel, who's like got decades and decades and decades of fans who like grew up hearing and watching that cartoon. Starfire, legions of fans since she was introduced in the comic books. Little
I'm
Orphan
more upset
Annie.
that she's not orange.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in here, but the point is that they seem to be systematically changing characters that people know and are familiar with, and have wanted to see like a physical like representation of on screen, and changing them before they set that baseline. Because like fans of source material, they basically just want to see a faithful adaptation first and foremost. And then once they get that faithful adaptation, then they're more open to changes, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree.
There are examples out there where I think it works, but for the majority, it just comes off as a bad casting style.
I guess it depends on the reasoning behind it.
It's like when I look at, when I see Zendaya trying to play Mary Jane,
she's Michelle Jones.
No, she's not. That's not what they're doing. They're just making excuses with that shit. It's like
I understand.
Her character is supposed to be Mary Jane.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. It's like I don't buy it. I'm not into it. So and they're absolutely changing the narrative and the story of the characters when they do that shit. So I'm not into it. I'm out. So whatever.
I get you. It's for me. It's really a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Because there's times like we talked about Commissioner Gordon. Wasn't mad for Matt Reeves' Batman because I love that actor. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But is
that Pattinson?
Yeah.
We're the guy from
Westworld. I can't
Westworld.
remember. God, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry.
He's a lunatic.
Who?
The guy that plays Commissioner Gordon.
In real life?
Yeah, he's a lunatic.
Well, every actor's a freaking lunatic, dude.
He's like next level.
Go on social media. They're all nuts.
He's like George Takei lunatic.
Oh, no.
He's like Tim Russ.
That's a bummer because I really like him. But it's for me, it's case by case basis. And it really depends on the motivation behind them. Are they just trying to cast the best actor and they're just like, hey, this guy's really freaking good or this girl's really good? Like Idris Elba. Like, yeah, let's put freaking Idris Elba in the movie. That'll give us some freaking stature, some oomph behind the character. Okay, whatever, fine. But if it's
I wasn't offended at Idris Elba.
But if it's just like, we're gonna make Batgirl because it's a CW TV show and we need diversity, I feel like that's different.
And it's a comic book that people know.
Yeah.
So people will watch it, but also I feel like we are a visual society. And if we have been envisioning something that is told to us in a story and this is how it looks, that's what we're envisioning. Mm-hmm. And also, I just feel like Hollywood is really lazy because they're not coming up with anything new. And that's really disappointing. Like, I feel like people who are avid moviegoers and nerds like us have been saying, like, come up with original stuff. We'll go see it if it's interesting and well written. And nobody wants to take the time to write it. They just say, what's a story that people will spend money on and how can we change it to make sure that the most amount of people will go spend money on it?
Yeah. Another great example, too, is, and thank you for the chat from Quantum Cat, it says, Sam Jackson as Nick Fury.
Nick Fury wasn't a redhead.
I know, but I'm saying it's a it's a swap. It's a racial swap, and I'm like, but I'm not going to say no to Sam Jackson in a freaking movie. Like, put him in there for sure. Yeah. So it's just, for me, it's a case by case basis.
There's a difference between Nick Fury, who was a C grade character in a D grade.
I think a lot of these
comic book versus Cinderella, who Disney remakes as the most weird.
I think you made the best analogy with Jessica Rabbit. Yeah, because she can't be anything other than a redhead.
No,
smoking hot redhead. Like if you're trying to change that, forget about it. So that's what I mean. Like sometimes I'm like, yeah, whatever, and then other times I'm like, no.
I just see
the level of hotness depends on whether or not they can get away with it.
It must be.
That's why Jason Momoa is fine as Aquaman.
Fine, whatever. I mean, he was just a blonde guy. It doesn't matter. He could be a Polynesian.
I think it depends on the level of fan base for like certain characters, right? Yeah. But the overall trend is like, hey, every single redhead that is being adapted to the big screen is getting race swapped, and it's a weird coinky dink.
I think it's very much on purpose.
Yeah, I think they're just swapping out one minority.
It's a formula. It's a lazy ass formula.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, what small minor character can we replace in this show and insert some color, for lack of a better term,
I don't know.
For more representation.
Yeah, like, they got to click their boxes, man.
Get the fuck out of here.
Boxes. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
It's a stupid trend, but
it's not going anywhere.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I don't think that enough people are like, hey, can you stop doing that, please?
It's just getting worse.
When are the redheads going to unite and stand up?
We're working on it. We've all been telepathically communicating as we've been recording this episode.
Yeah. How many? That's a joke for you, right? That was a payoff to what you said earlier.
It's true.
Good job, Jude.
Thanks.
Redheads are smart.
From a different planet.
Damn it! I foiled us all. They know we're smart now. Scatter.
The worst example of a redhead that I can remember is that kid that went viral for being on, like, he went on a rant on his cell phone, like, gingers have souls. Like, he was freaking out about South Park. Remember that kid?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he was
Dude,
horrible.
The redhead episodes where Cartman tries to take them all out is like notorious. It is pretty wild.
You know what's funny is anytime two redheads are in the same room together, people assume that they're related.
Yeah.
I used to have two friends that were also redheaded. One is deceased now, and the other one has moved away. But the three of us would hang out all the time, and every time we would walk into a bar, people would be like, "That's your brother and sister." We would just be like, "We're just coworkers, man. We just work together."
I just Googled it real quick. It says less than 2% of the world's population is redhead.
Yeah.
Making it the rarest hair
small
color
minority.
in the world.
I think it's only 20% of Irish people are redheaded.
My wife likes
They're a
to,
minority.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big
my
minority.
wife likes to say I'm even more special because she has blue eyes, which are like
True.
the smallest percentage.
Are
of
they
the
mostly
redheads.
green?
Mostly green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
They don't have souls.
That's the.
I'm kidding.
I guess that's the end of the
I
podcast.
kid.
I don't know where to land on this. How do you finish up a topic
I don't
like
even
this?
want to release this.
It's like,
I absolutely do.
it's dumb. Stop doing it. Just make new characters that are cool. And
Right.
that's all right. We
Write
can-
new characters, write interesting characters.
Yeah.
And you know what? Replace some fucking blondes.
Yeah. Don't want more fat people in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's your
I am not
representation?
represented. Yeah. We used to have John Candy and Chris Farley.
Dude,
We needed John Candy.
you're
and
not
Chris
wrong.
Farley. I
Maybe
know
that's
I'm not
another
wrong.
topic.
Oh, that's next week.
The male beauty
You
standard.
got Melissa McCarthy now.
The male beauty
Fat
standard
cow.
in sitcoms and TV shows has drastically changed. Like you had George from Seinfeld, all the guys from frickin' Cheers and Happy Days,
Norm.
all that
Norm.
shit. They were all just like your real average,
Yeah.
a little overweight white dudes that are balding. You don't see that anymore. Everybody's got to be a frickin' model. And it was, and I just
Disagree.
really.
Yeah, because now everyone is just like the kind of overweight guy, and it's just the standard now. And we're all supposed to be like, all women are supposed to be gorgeous, and all men are just.
No,
it's
that's not
okay if
true.
they're just okay.
If you go down to the strip right now, it's going to be populated with fat
Chiseled
people
jawlines.
in spandex. Fat fucks in spandex everywhere. It's ridiculous. Yeah. so-
On that note, I guess that's
If
it
you're-
for the podcast.
yeah.
Oh,
Don't watch this. Bye.
Yeah, watch it.
I
Comment on it. Thumbs up it.
say goodbye to all this nice.
Hit the sub
equipment.
button.
I don't know.
Do it. Share it.
Dye my hair
Retweet
red.
it.
Yeah,
Get it out
become a
there.
ginger. Become one of us.
I could. I have, like I said, I got a little bit in my beard, calico.
Yeah.
I'm gonna color Kadish's beard while he sleeps.
It's funny
He's a
that
pretty
we-
heavy
Here's the
sleeper.
thing.
I
We
think
should've
I
did
could
this-
get away with
Real,
that.
should've did this show.
real redheads don't mingle with fake.
Yeah, no, I don't.
They're
yeah,
like,
I
no,
believe
no,
you.
they're bottle redheads. Fuck
Bottle red.
them. No,
You don't
serious.
speak for the gingers.
I do. I'm very married to one.
Bottle redheads.
Oh,
Is that like a slur that they
there's
use for other people?
Most redheads, it comes out of a bottle. There's no. You go walk around. Most of them come out of a bottle.
Yeah, I can believe it.
And you can tell the difference.
All right, I don't know how to end this.
Well, most hard-ons come out of a bottle too.
That's true.
If you'd like to cancel us, comment below. If you agree with us, comment below. Either way, it's fine. V, say goodbye to the redheads.
Hi. See you later, everybody. Make your own shit. Quit replacing my people.
My people.
I married them. I'm claiming them.
All right, Jude, say goodbye to the people.
Bye, people. Thank you for watching. Sorry.
Kadish.
Goodbye, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this change of format. We're going to be playing around with this, so we appreciate your feedback, especially on topics. Follow us on Twitter because we will be polling to see like what you guys want to hear us talk about in the future. And I'm going to throw it back to Alex because he doesn't know what he's doing.
We're gonna talk about fat people next week.
Fat people. I can tell real fat people from the fat suits.
Where are the fat people in Hollywood? God damn
Were
it!
you triggered by Brendan Fraser? How do you say
I
it?
can't watch
Fraser.
it. I don't think I can watch it.
Wearing a fat
Razor.
suit. Should have.
No, it was not.
No, nobody should have been.
I haven't seen it yet. I really want to see it.
I don't want to be that depressed.
But for real, there were people
Yeah.
that are pissed off
That
that
wasn't
they
a
didn't
fat
cast
actor.
a real fat bastard as the fat guy in the role. It's nonsense.
Get in my belly.
Were you mad that Colin Farrell put on a fat suit for
Not at all.
Penguin? I mean,
at all.
come on.
See, I mean, here's the thing. Most people, when they get that fat, they die.
on.
You can't cast them because they
on.
might not make it to the end of the shooting. They could have a heart attack at any time.
Do you know Marvel heroes like Spider-Man, Thor, Iron Man, and Chris Pratt as Star-Lord or whatever, their required diet from Marvel is 500 calories or less a day.
That's insane.
That's fucking nuts.
Have you never watched Chris Pratt's
snack of the day or
snack-
whatever?
yeah, what's my snack?
Yes, that's where I learned it.
And he's so hungry.
Yeah, he's eating like a cucumbber, and he's like, my snack. And then
He's like, I'm just gonna have a bite.
and
of
I was like,
tomorrow's
I
snack.
thought, okay, so here's what this when Chris Pratt was doing the what's your snack thing. This is going to be next week's episode. When Chris Pratt
Why
was,
is Hollywood starving people?
why are you starving everybody?
Let
do it.
people be fat.
When Pratt was doing the what's my snack thing, I thought that was a self. What's it called when you do something to yourself just to get more fit or whatever? I thought he was doing it to himself just to be fit for the role.
Oh,
It was like a self-inflicted whatever diet. And then Tom Holland, who's like fucking 17, came on and was like, "Oh no, Marvel gave me a 500 calorie diet," and I was like, "Marvel gave you
A person can't live on 500 calories.
500?"
That's like
And you have
a
to.
glass of whiskey.
I'm over it already. No, but I just like I always thought it was just the actors like doing what they needed to do to get in shape for the role. But then when I realized it was like the studio saying, "No, you need to do this,"
We need to save this for
I was like, "Oh my god!" So next week we're gonna talk about fat people in Marvel.
fat people in Hollywood. Where's my representation?
All right, comment below. God, if you want us to do movies
that's
again,
a great topic.
please comment about movies. Tell us, hey,
No,
there's
no.
this new movie out. Indy 5's
I'm
coming out.
going
We'll talk about that.
to enjoy not watching movies. We got
All right,
John
everybody.
Wick to go watch.
John Wick 4. Stay salty, my friends.